Testing 1, 2. Tell me in the comments. Go ahead and break it down for me. Tell me if I'm loud and clear. And if I am, go ahead and tell me in the comments. What did I say? Did I say, what did I say? 4:30, I said? Is that what I said? What time do you see on this clock here? I don't think that's the right time, you know. I think that's the wrong time. It is. My watch says I'm 5 minutes late. Guys, I'm using a different pair of, I'm using a different mic. So what I need for you to tell me is if this mic is working. I had my Rodecaster Pro mics somewhere. I can't find them. You're late again, somebody says. Mwinga, loud and clear, and you're late. It's 16:35. I know, it's 5 minutes late. And I'm trying as best as I can to be a stickler for time. That's not always possible. Guys, do me a favor, and incidentally, we've had power here since 11:15 this morning. And right now it's 16:35. We still have power. Let's just hold hands and pray for the absolute best. And let's pray that it doesn't go off, because I'm using my lights and stuff. I've got a blanket that's covering my screen, my window. So what I don't want to do is to be in total darkness. Guys, share the live. I always ask you to do this, and please forgive my repetitiveness, but I have to do this. Please share the live. Share it with people that you think would be interested in this conversation. Lulu says we can hear you, so there are even people who waste time listening to him. Well, Goodwell, you're here. This is what I find interesting about haters. A hater will tell you, oh, you mean people listen to you, and yet here we are. Yes, Goodwill, and you're gonna sit there and you're going to listen to what I have to say. Do not change the channel, Goodwill. If you do that, honey, I will put a line through your name instead of under it. That's how we roll over here at SML TV. Guys, as many of you know, we witnessed another debacle of an alliance. You are playing around with a very serious set of circumstances. Instead of being resolute, instead of being focused, instead of being straight-minded, we've got a bunch of so-called amateur politicians, and that's what they are, a bunch of amateurs, bunch of politicians that declare that they are going to come together, they're going to rendezvous and declare that they have formed yet another alliance. Now, let's look at this contextually. Okay, let's get a bit of background on this. You remember not too long ago, ECL, Sakwiba Sikota, and a few other people decided to come together, and they formed an alliance that they coined and they phrased as Ukah. They said this is Ukah, I forget, United Kwacha Alliance. That's what it was. Because you know there's so many of them that you forget which one is which. You literally forget what's what. They made this huge announcement that here it is. That Ukah was going to revolutionize the opposition political landscape in this country. They came out with both guns blazing. They made all types of pronouncements. And then they had the audacity, they had the unmitigated gall to say that none of us in this Ukah, none of us are self-declared. It is the people that are going to choose from amongst us. One of us is going to be a leader. There is no preconceived plan to select someone beforehand, that this process was going to be transparent and open, and that the Zambian people were going to select who the leader of Ukah was going to be. Well, we all knew exactly what that was about. We all knew that Edgar Lungu was the puppeteer. We all knew that Edgar Lungu was the one he was the Pied Piper. My father used to say, he used to quote, that he who pays the piper calls the tune. So amongst all of these Ukah members, the only one logically that they could select as presidential candidate, only because he was the only person that had the capability, that had the wherewithal, he had the ability and financial muscle to bankroll this alliance, was ECL. So there was no democratic process behind the selection of the leader of Ukah. That was all just a smokescreen. Well, lo and behold, Ukah fell apart. Ukah just disintegrated. One moment, people were talking about Ukah. The very next, nobody was talking about it. In fact, Ukah all of a sudden became a rumor. And then, out of nowhere, we start hearing the bleating of the sheep. You know that phrase, the old, if you're not a Pentecostal Christian, you won't know what that is. The bleating of the sheep, not bleeding, umulopa. Bleating, the sound that sheep make. Bah, that's called bleating. The bleating of the sheep. People start talking, Chinese whispers. We start hearing that, oh, forget Ukah. There's a new team in town. It's called Tonse Tizagwa Alliance. So all of a sudden, these group of non-entities come together and they say, we're going to create another alliance. Now, let me run you through some of the names of these parties that have joined this Tonse Tizagwa Alliance, okay? Now, one would think that this amalgamation, this conglomeration, this group, this cluster of political parties is comprised mainly big names, political shakers and movers. Listen to some of the names, and some of these people we've never even heard of them. Okay, for example, the New Era Democratic Party, led by somebody named Exilda Mwewa. Who the hell is Exilda Mwewa? Well, she walked up to the podium and she introduced herself, and she said, "Oh, Zambia arise," and she gave a 2-second speech about how they were going to change the landscape of the Zambian political topography and all that nonsense. The next person was from a party called New Congress Party. Who the hell is that? The next person, the next party, the mighty Zambia Republican Party. You're fooling around. That's what you're doing. Another one, Kumawa Development Coalition. Kumawa Development Coalition. And then lastly, you've got this Patriots for Economic Progress, which is headed by this con man, this embezzler, Sean Tembo, who embezzled millions of Botswana pula from a university there in Botswana. He left a Botswanan family and a trail of fraud, and then he comes to Zambia and tries to set up a political party, and he thinks that nobody's ever going to talk about his past in Botswana. Honey, we are living in the age of the internet. Everybody knows Sean Tembo and your little antics over there in Botswana. And then he says, this is Patriots for Economic Progress. This is Sean Tembo. So I've read to you 5 so-called political parties that have joined hands with the PF, and they announced that from this conglomeration, from this grouping, we have a surprise. We are going to unveil the new 2026 presidential candidate that's going to run on the Tonse Tizagwa Alliance. And guess who it is? It's Chagwa. Guys, you're preaching to the choir. We knew that. Everybody knew that. The writing was on the wall. There was no secret about that. Everybody knew that that's exactly who you were going to select. Why? Because not only is it convenient, it is the logical thing to do. You know why? Because ECL is the only person in that grouping that can personally bankroll a political party. You think New Era Democratic Party has any financial muscle? You think New Congress Party has any financial muscle? You think Mighty Zambia Republican Party has any financial muscle? You think Kumawa Development Coalition, you think these chaps have any money to do anything? But don't forget, to run a fully fledged, all pistons firing, presidential nationwide campaign, every ward, every district, every province, every city, every nook, every corner of this country, this territory named Zambia, for you to run a fully fledged campaign, presidential campaign with all the wards, the chairman, the councillors, the MPs, you need at least $10 million US. Where is New Era Democratic Party going to get $10 million from? Where? Where is Sean Tembo's fraudulent patriotic Patriots for Economic Progress? Where are they going to get $10 million? The only person who has access to that type of mullah, to that type of chapa, to that type of umuzulu, is ECL. ECL is the only person who can bankroll any type of effort. But here's the problem. ECL's already he's already done his time. He's already been elected twice, sworn in twice, and served twice. I was so amused when I heard Given Lubinda's little speech. Oh, it was a mess. It was an absolute train wreck. Given Lubinda was basically saying, there's no one in this country who can surpass, who can match ECL's track record. Well, Given, are you living in a dream world? What is ECL, God now? Is that what it is? You think ECL is God? You think he's deity? Because that's how these NPF chaps are treating Edgar Lungu like he's some type of political god. Guys, he didn't want to be president in the first place. You remember? He didn't want to be president in the first place. So how the hell are you going to label him as some type of political democratic savior? Don't do that. Let the man ride off into the sunset, take a rest, because God knows he's been sworn in twice, he's been elected twice, and he served twice. So far be it from you, me, or anybody else to suggest or to imply that Zambia's political future is hinged, depends on this man, Edgar Lungu. No, it doesn't. You know why? Because he's already done his time. And then you guys in PF, in NPF, you have the audacity and the unmitigated gall to compare ECL to Donald Trump. Are you nuts? Donald Trump only ran once. Donald Trump only served one term. ECL has served two. So for you to compare ECL to Trump, you're grasping at straws. That's what you're doing. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel. You don't know what else to do. You don't. And in the same way that Ukah failed, because you see, your motive is wrong. You sugarcoat your motive with words like, no, this is for the Zambian people, the democratic space is shrinking, when you know good and hell well it's not shrinking. You're just a bunch of criminals. That's all it is. You don't want to be pursued by the law because you're a bunch of criminals. That's what it is. And what you deem, what you label, what you define, what you identify as political persecution, the truth is, it is criminal prosecution. I knew I was going to say it right in a moment. I was going to get it. Let me say it again. In your minds, in your feeble, seared minds, what you term as political persecution, the truth is, it is criminal prosecution. Why? Because you're a bunch of criminals. And you're trying to avoid the issue of facing the law for what it is. You're scapegoating, you're dodging, you're weaving, you're bobbing, you're trying to get the Zambian people to focus on the wrong thing when you know you've done the wrong thing. You're trying to get the Zambian people to focus on the wrong thing when you know that you haven't done the right thing. That's what it is. So don't try to fool the Zambian people. Don't do that, okay? All righty. That's all I wanted to share with you guys. Thanks for listening. Love you. In the same way that Ukah failed, Tonse Tizagwa Alliance will fail.